if Hollow Knight and Hades had a child, and then that child decided to move to California before it was ready and started experimenting with hard drugs, DMT, mushrooms, and the like? Yeah, and then that child got kidnapped and sold for the low, low price of $24.99 on PlayStation or Steam. I'm talking about ULTROS, a psychedelic Metroidvania mini roguelike that I just stumbled upon like a nomadic astronaut out there in the solar system. And now, me, you know me, when I find a good deal, a good game, a little nugget of a game from an indie developer, I'm going to talk about it. Let's talk about it. ULTROS thrusts you into this wild psychedelic world. You wake up and you have no idea what's going on. All you know is that things are amiss, and your job is to wake up what originally we thought was one shaman person in order to break this curse. Turns out, after you kill the first one, there's 7 more. Don't you hate when that happens? I don't mind so much because it gives me even more time to play this game and explore that crazy map we saw. Anyway, ULTROS is really about that, right? It's about making your way through this Metroidvania looking map, fighting enemies as you go, and getting to each of these 8 different shamans in order to wake them up by way of killing them and eventually unlocking some crazy monster, breaking this curse. We've done it before, right? But what matters is that adds that roguelike element, that replayability. Every time you finish the shaman off, you make your way back to the main area where you get a new cutscene, some new dialogue from somebody I'm guessing will be the final or the penultimate final boss, and then you die. You're reborn, and the world changes. And the way the world changes is controlled by you. As you explore this crazy new universe, you find different seeds, right? Seeds for different types of plants. And plants, biology, mold. ULTROS is actually like a form of fungi or bacteria. Somebody in the comments is going to get all biological on me and talk about how stupid I am and how reductive that was. Whatever. It's a big core piece. And as you can see on your screen up there to the left, there's just seeds throughout here. And you can use these seeds to grow trees, which don't grow as you plant them. They only grow when you die and come back, you know, what feels like seconds, but it seems like in this world it's eons, right? So these trees can unlock new places for you to explore. They can unlock new different consumables you can use to either heal your character or to get different stats up, which you then apply to your skill tree, which we'll talk about later. As you can see on your screen now, those are those 8 different shamans we talked about, waking each of them up. You wake one up, the tombstone's destroyed. You start your run again in the brand new world, heading in a new direction, trying to find the next shaman. It really is a lot of fun. The first thing you're going to notice about ULTROS is that it is quite literally one of the most vividly colorful games I've ever played in my life. Take a jeeb out of a Gatorade bottle beforehand, and you, my friend, will be in for one of the wildest video game rides of your entire life. And with all this color, it would be easy to fall in the trap of thinking, well, they spent all their budget on graphics and they don't have much to offer by way of expanse within the map, which is a very important element of, you know, Metroidvanias, the Hollow Knight type of games. Not the case. And I'm just going to go ahead and show you the ULTROS map. Look away if you don't want to see us, but there it is. And look, oh my gosh, how sweet. It looks just like its mommy. Just the kind of map that I want to see, especially for $25. Oh my god, look at this. This tells me I'm getting bang for my buck, and that's what I love. Pandas. But we can't mention a game in the same breath as Hollow Knight without addressing the fact that Hollow Knight is one of the greatest combat games ever made, genuinely. And I don't mean that just in the context of 2D platformers, Metroidvanias. I mean that generally, like everything. It is truly Souls-like combat. And while I can't say that the combat in ULTROS is quite to that level, yet I can say that it gets pretty damn close, which for a bar like that, good enough. You fight bosses like you see here that provide interesting challenges, right? Different movesets that are difficult to dodge, guards you have to break, variants in the moveset, multiple phases, all the different things that those of us who look for Souls-like combat or, complex, challenging combat, we're going to find that here. Let's talk about how you make your character stronger by way of a very interesting skill tree mechanic. As you explore the ULTROS map, you stumble upon these different space pods where you can rest, consume food from the plants that you've grown or the different critters that you've defeated along the way. And all of these different foods and consumables add to one or multiple of these 4 attributes you see on your screen here. And the way that the skill levels work is you take these attributes and you apply them, you consume them to all of the different skills you see on the right in the skill tree here. Every time that you reset your run by defeating one of the shamans, one of the 8 shamans, you lose all of your skills except for the ones that you've chosen with a thing called mycelium, where you can reserve a skill, preserve it, and it never goes away. You have it for the rest of your run. So it becomes this game of growing plants, defeating enemies, utilizing a very cool mechanic where you actually get better loot and better consumables for using a variety of attacks as opposed to just smashing them. That's completely unique to this game. I've never seen that before, and I think it's so cool. If you do a diverse set of moves to defeat an enemy, you're gonna get a consumable that gives you a lot more of these attributes that you need than if you just smash it with your basic attack, right? What an awesome concept, and one that I would love to see games borrow. But anyway, you get stronger and stronger as you explore and you find those myceliums that allow for you to preserve your skills until ultimately, by the end game, you are just a monster. You are somebody who you would not even recognize in the beginning, which is something that I like to see in my combat games, scaling where I go from weakling to a strongling that everybody who was kicking his ass before is now very scared of in the end game. And that's here. Very interesting and very complexly tied into the roguelike mechanic and a lot of the other unique mechanics. They all very harmoniously work in tandem, which is great because, again, combat is extremely important in Metroidvanias, and the combat is solid here. You may be wondering, okay, you've been praising this game a lot. Do you have any criticisms or anything bad to say? And honestly, no, not at this point. If you're new to my channel, every game that I review, I do careful and diligent research on prior to playing. Secondly, I'm going to always cross-index my criticism or my approach of a game with the price that I'm paying for it. Right now, ULTROS is available for $25 on Steam, on Switch, on PlayStation, and for $25, I'm just quite simply not going to be as critical of a game as I would be, playing the brand new $70 Final Fantasy Rise of the Ronin, Dogma, whatever else I could be playing. And I think that's a pretty fair way to do things. If I had to say anything about hesitations for this game, it is not as nuanced as Hollow Knight, right? There's not as much meat on the bone, and I do feel like I'm going to run through it pretty quickly. The lore is indecipherable, which I don't mind because I'm somebody who plays a lot of Souls games, so that's just par for the course, but I can see how that would frustrate others. And again, the combat, while solid, is somewhat reductive and simplistic, right? Everything compared to Hollow Knight, which is a game we've been setting as the bar for, Metroidvanias and for the comparison point here, compared to Hollow Knight, it's a lot simpler, watered down version. But again, it was $25 and I just stumbled upon this game on PlayStation one night, stoned on my couch. And oh my God, I have not been the same person ever since. I'm Tenacious Panda. Thank you so much for watching this video. Ever since I was a kid, I have loved video games, and now I love sharing my love of video games with you, my viewers, and the rest of the world. I hope that you will subscribe, like this video, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next time I drop a banger. Have an excellent day.